NCT just dropped their new album titled Resonance today, November the 23rd. Now, I don't know too much about NCT, but thanks to Google, I know they're a South Korean boy group. And I'm happy to be reviewing their part 2 to their album, Resonance. Now, I haven't heard part 1, but I do know that there are 8 new tracks. So I will review those tracks, break those down. And if you want me to go back and review part 1, definitely let me know in the comment section. Now, if you're new to my channel, I do music reviews that not only consists of me breaking down the album, but also the artists, the songs, and then I get my review. So if you're a music fan, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Only about 5% of y'all are actually subscribed to my channel, so let's change that today. Let's get this video to about 30 new subscribers and 30 new likes. Oh, and if you want me to review your music, go ahead and send me a DM or send me an email and I will review it for you. What else? Oh, I made a beat tape. Go ahead and check that out. All right, let's get into the video. So who is NCT? NCT is a South Korean boy group consisting of 23 members. Now, I would say their names, but knowing that I mispronounce a lot of names, I'm gonna just leave it on the screen. Now, NCT stands for Neo Culture Technology. And what's interesting about the group is they have a limited amount of members, divided into multiple sub-units, which allows them to be based in multiple cities worldwide. Now, those sub-units are NCT-U, NCT 127, NCT Dream, Wavy, and Super M. Now, the group started in 2016 with NCT-U, and the rest pretty much followed. They have 6 studio albums, 2 live albums, and 14 EPs. Now, their studio albums include Empathy, which went platinum in Korea, and peaked at number 2 on the Korean charts and number 5 on the US worldwide charts. They have the Resonance Part 1, which peaked at number 1 in Korea, and also number 1 on the US world charts in 2020. And now we have Part 2 to that project coming out today. Now, their other projects include Regular and Irregular in 2018, Awaken, and Neozone, which all released under NCT 127. Other albums include Awaken a World, which released under Wavy, and the 2 albums include Neo City and The Dream Show. So let me know in the comment section which one of those are your favorite. But I know it's kind of confusing, but think of it as a business. Because they have so many members and so many subunits, they're able to release different content in so many different ways to expand their reach. For example, they can release as a full group with 23 members. They can release as subunits, which ultimately allows them to release different projects and different albums under different names, under different locations, and expand their reach and markets. So imagine if they expanded their group to a US based group. Then again, that just allows them to reach more people and ultimately reach more success. Now, me personally, I actually find it a cool business move. Now, they have received numerous rewards, including the Asia Art Awards in 2016, the Gaon Chart Music Awards in 2017 and 2020, the Korea Popular Music Awards in 2018, and so many more. Too much to name. But the cool thing about this group, unlike BTS, yes, they are a globally known band, but they haven't reached its peak when it came to the US just yet. But being that they just started in 2016, I do see it potentially becoming a thing, them being huge in different global countries, but also expand more so in the US like BTS did as well. Now, the track lists are as follows. So out of these, I'm gonna review part 2, and part 2 includes the 90's Love Title, Raise the Roof, My Everything, Interlude, Present to Future, Work It, All About You, I.o.u, and the outro, The Dream Routine. So let's get into it. Okay, so 90's Love. First and foremost, I do love the Belle Biv DeVoe 90's feel at the beginning. Then there's also a crisscross chant feel at the beginning as well. Now the drums are kicking. It definitely has that Busta Rhymes sample in there as well. Don't this hit make my people wanna jump, jump. Don't this hit make my people wanna jump. It sounds loud, huge, and energetic, which I love. It's ultimately a feel-good 90's theme song that just keeps you moving. I like this track. I'm a huge 90's hip-hop guy. And me personally, one thing that really stood out for this track is that it used those references. It used those samples, things that brought you back to the 90's feels, and these huge artists like Busta Rhymes, Crisscross, and Belle Biv DeVoe that were huge and made huge hits in that time frame. So I love it. I personally enjoyed it. And there's also a video that came out for this as well. The third track, Raise the Roof, is a totally different style. It's a more pop with EDM feel, but still something that will keep you dancing. This one is driven by the drums as well as the bass line. And it's more of a song about, we're gonna raise the roof. We getting bigger, you can't stop us. It's one of those songs that, you know what I'm saying, gets you ready for a game or the gym. It's a nice track, and there's a part in the production where it slowed down, added some singing and piano, and I thought it was a nice feel. It wasn't too much, it wasn't too less, but it also didn't bring all of the energy down. The energy kept coming back up with the production as well. Now, My Everything is Beautiful. It starts and ends with a melodic piano, and it's performed by these three. Beautifully written and well performed with a lot of harmonies. It talks about how you are my everything, a gift, a miracle, and ultimately someone who was worth waiting for. Me personally, I think this track would be great for a wedding. And hands down, out of the 8, is definitely a standout track. Now in the interlude, Present to Future is a 1 minute and 30 seconds instrumental. Energetic in a heavy dubstep electronic feel. It was produced by Lee So-man and Emle. And I'm not gonna lie to you, well done. Short to the point, and there's a lot of build-ups that bring a lot of energy to the track as well. And at this point, I really feel as though the whole theme of the album is definitely energetic. It is K-pop, and I think that the production and the singing and the lyrics so far in the album does a great job in doing so. Working continues that EDM feel, upbeat bass and a lot of synth. It was also one of the 2 lead title tracks for the part 2 of this album. This is another track that brings a lot of energy. It's a track that will keep you dancing. And there's also another addition of e-piano, which really smooths down the track, but it don't slows it down too much. It just provides a balance. It keeps it hype, but it also just calms it down at parts, which is nice. All About You, I love this track. The synth bass is definitely killer, and it gives 2 different vibes. It's smooth during the verses, being that there's a nice piano, a nice singing being involved there, and then during the hook, it builds. It becomes a nice synth bass driven song, which is amazing. The song talks about a dream all about you. Yes, you, my beautiful YouTube subscribers. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. But you may be someone or something that is a fantasy. And also something that makes them happy, but also something that they can't live without. Another track that I love, and another track that's well written. Now, i.o.u. is completely different than other tracks. There's a nice distorted guitar, which kind of sounds like a sample, and there's also a lot of hip-hop drums. And then midway throughout the track, it switches it up. It goes more dance. It goes more dance with the double time drums. But it does go back to the original R&B hip-hop feel as well. It tells about the baby that makes their wishes come true. And it feels good. It feels like Christmas every time they're with you. But now it's their turn. Now it's their turn to return the favor and do the same. I love the mix of rap and singing on this track. It gives a lot of feels from the earlier 2000s R&B, kind of like a Chris Brown type feel. And to be honest, this one is my favorite track on the album. I also love how there's a good mix of English on this track, and this is something that I added to my playlist. Something that, as an English speaking person, you can listen to and you can pretty much understand a good chunk of what the song is about. And then the outro, The Dream Routine, is another instrumental. Less than 1 minute, it's another EDM track, and it's definitely a good way to end the album because it still keeps that energy that's pretty consistent throughout the album. But overall, I enjoyed these 8 songs, and I think altogether it makes for a really good album. One thing that I do like about K-pop in general is that it does misses a lot of genres. You hear a lot of R&B, you hear a lot of EDM, you hear a lot of rap, hip-hop. One thing that stands out to me from a production level, it finds a great way to really mix everything together. And then on top of that, it's really well written. If you're a fan of energy, this is an album that you would love. And if you're not a fan of NCT, this is something that can actually allow you to start listening to more of their music. I mean, me personally, never really listened to K-pop like that, but ever since listening to BTS and now NCT, I'm actually gonna start listening to more of their music. I actually do enjoy this style. I think it's very creative, and I do think that it brings really good feels. Now, out of the 8, my favorite track, hands down, is i.o.u. After that, I definitely have to say My Everything. I think that those 2 are really good written songs. I can definitely hear it being in different settings. Like, for example, My Everything can be in a wedding, and really i.o.u. can be something that can be played at a reception. So that's a little bit more upbeat, but still the same feel. I didn't really have a least favorite track, but if I had to give 1 out of the 8, I'd definitely say Raise the Roof. So here is my rating. For production, I gave it an 8. To be able to mix these different genres is a whole nother talent in itself. To have it well done, to keep the energy energy up on each track, but also finding ways to calm the track down, adding in different elements like the e-piano is a great way to really balance out the sound and all the different additions throughout each track. For Vocalism, I gave it a 9. I thought that it was well done, and also not too much. It's a lot going on in these tracks, but one thing about it is really the vocalism kind of brings it all together. To be so many people on these tracks, it's not too many layers, it's just enough harmonies, and it's very melodic as well. For songwriting, I gave it a 9. I really do love going back and translating these K-pop tracks. Love the emotion that's expressed in the song. I love how for the energetic tracks it's well written to give you that energy and to really motivate you. And I love how the more romantic tracks are very well written. It's not as obvious, but it's also something that can relate to so many different things the way it's written. It don't necessarily say, hey girl or hey boy, but it says you, which can be really portrayed in so many different ways, and it can relate to so many more people, which I love. And then overall, I feel like I gave it a 9. Again, K-pop is something I'm starting to enjoy, and you might see a lot more of K-pop on my channel. So definitely subscribe because more is coming. So all together, when you add everything up and you divide by 4, you get an 8.75. I personally enjoyed this album. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section. Thank y'all for watching, thank y'all for subscribing, and thank y'all for liking this video. We are so close to 500 subscribers. Crazy, crazy, crazy. And I couldn't do it without y'all. More videos coming soon. And remember, your only limitations are those in your own mind. Stevie TV out. BTS just dropped their new album titled B today, November the 20th. Now, BTS is one of them groups that I've been hearing a lot about lately. Now, I don't know a lot about them other